Hey everyone!
Welcome to
The Hero Couch. Say cheese!
I'm Oz.
I'm Drew.
This week we're talking about the prequels.
Specifically for Star Wars,
Yeah.
for those of you who can't tell by the title.
I feel like it should be. We kind of established our own lingo for the Star Wars franchise.
Yeah.
The prequels is just
Always
unanimous,
means Star
right?
Wars
Exactly.
at this point. For
Exactly.
most people, I think, too, but
Indeed.
some people don't realize.
Just so you guys know, we have a bit of news at the end of this episode, so if you want your nerdy intel, stick around for that.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think we should dig right in. Why we want to talk about the prequels. I think some people new to our channel may not be familiar that we like them a lot.
Yeah.
Because that's not a super popular opinion, or it wasn't 10 years ago anyways. So.
Yeah, exactly. The prequels just hold very special places in our hearts, especially going back to our childhood.
Yeah.
Those were our Star Wars movies. Those were coming out as
Right.
we were growing up, and they were new and fresh and interesting.
Yeah, every
a
generation
lot to
has
love.
Star Wars for them. And
Absolutely.
for us, 2005 was Revenge of the Sith. That
Mhm.
was when I saw it in theaters. The first Star Wars movie I saw in theaters.
This is the first PG-13 movie I watched, except... No, there was one before that. It was Austin Powers. I think.
Nice.
I think it was Austin Powers first, but second. Close enough.
They go hand in hand, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Can't have one without the other.
I need my mojo, baby.
Movie, baby.
I'd like to see a reboot with Hayden Christensen as Austin Powers.
Oh, honestly, I'd be here for it, but like, goddamn.
I can't even imagine that actually happening. That would be
I
insane.
could.
I don't want to. Yeah. I mean, the prequels, they're obviously a generational staple as well as a huge contributor to the lore of the Star Wars franchise. So
Absolutely.
it makes sense that if you're going to talk about a series or a trilogy within the Star Wars franchise, it's going to be the prequels.
Yeah. A lot of people just... I don't understand quite why they don't like them, but at the same time I do. It's got a lot of that 2000s stank.
Right.
It's hard to escape from that era. Anything CGI just doesn't look quite right most of the time.
Right.
A lot of green screen, but it was like the pioneering times of that.
Right.
And for the
Yeah, no,
time,
absolutely.
they did incredible.
Yeah.
Visually, it's one of the best looking movies of its age,
Right.
CGI wise.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know...
Well, not just movie, but like the movies as a whole, like every movie.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's the three are a combo pack
Yeah.
for sure. But it also goes hand in hand with when Lucas did the CGI edits for the original trilogy.
Yeah,
Same
which
time.
that's a very controversial topic. There's a lot
Indeed.
that
Didn't
maybe
need to
shouldn't
happen.
didn't need to be changed. Han shot first.
Right.
But
There are parts that should stick around. Like,
absolutely. Adding Jabba back into A New
Right.
Hope, that was a great idea.
Yeah, no, Ian McDermott re-recording all of his stuff as Palpatine.
That needed to happen.
Agreed. I mean, those googly eyes on the original costume.
Yeah,
But
it wasn't great.
At least we have had Ian McDermott and Anthony Daniels across all three trilogies.
Yeah.
Which is awesome.
That's amazing to me.
Right.
They're absolute staples of like the Star Wars mythos, in my opinion.
Indeed. It's crazy to think that before like these it's just insane the ripple effect Star Wars has had. We've never had like such an ongoing franchise for couple decades like this.
Yeah, it's been crazy.
Really paved the way for modern film.
Yeah. And it's ever growing. It's not like they just created the first 3 and stopped. They made another trilogy and then another and then movies in between and TV shows, and it just expanded into such a huge universe. That's not even counting all the books and comics.
Yeah.
And all the projects coming out in the next few years. We're getting so much, and it makes me so happy. It feels like a Star Wars renaissance.
Right. That's a great way of putting it.
Mm-hmm.
And although we weren't here for the original trilogy, it's great to be a part of.
I was barely here for the sequel trilogy. Like, even though I was growing up with those movies, I was growing up with all the movies, but specifically the prequels, I was like 3 by the time Revenge of the Sith came out.
And I was 5. It was the first Star Wars I saw in theaters was number 3, but.
The first, actually, for me was Force Awakens. I was too young. I was too young.
Yeah, that's completely understandable. Yeah. It's not like you have a choice over that.
It was a sad moment for me before I was born, realizing I wouldn't get to watch Star Wars as it comes out.
Waiting in line.
It's depressing.
My mom's just like, why are you going to the theater? How are you doing this? Just piloting her like a Mexican stand in line.
Like Ratatouille.
Did you see Darth Maul in that trailer?
When are we going to do the Ratatouille episode?
When there's a demand for it. Please don't make there be a demand for it.
I'll be the demand. No, but the movies got so much right. Especially like the Jedi and Sith.
Yeah, it was the only real live action platform we've had for the Jedi and Sith Order.
And it's the first time we ever saw that order in action.
Right.
Like, we had the books, and they kind of went over things, but they didn't always visualize things as well as they could have. And so the fact that we got these movies where we could see what the robes look like, how their powers react in the real world, the lightsaber dueling and proper techniques, all of it is just so incredible.
And even when the Legends books were being released, it was still... They were canon, but like most of the fan base, they didn't care.
No one
really counted it as
had
canon.
like the small little sliver of people who read the books or would read the comics of the time. With like Marvel's first comic run, which was totally jank but so much fun. To the Dark Horse comics, which actually did a great job of continuing. The franchise, the legacy, absolutely. But as we're here to talk about the prequels, we'll
I
stick
say
to
we
the
dive
prequels.
right in. So, there's so much ground to cover with the prequels.
It's hard to know where to start.
Right. They established most of the lore for the franchise. With OT, they didn't put in that much. So
yeah, I mean, these 3 movies all came to fruition because of one little line in A New Hope about the Clone Wars.
Yes.
And Obi-Wan and Anakin serving in it.
Yeah.
Outside of that, we didn't know anything about this era.
He was we knew that Anakin was the best fighter pilot.
Exactly. And that he was a very skilled Jedi.
Yes.
But nothing else.
And that was it. And although the Clone Wars is a beast of its own, it's definitely going to have some ties into our talks.
It definitely will.
Main things, I think we start out with chronological. Phantom Menace was obviously groundbreaking. It was lightsaber fights. It was explosions. It was pod racing.
Fates is one of the most iconic moments in Star Wars, period, for me.
Yeah, and it ties back to the rest of the franchise immensely. It was truly the duel of Anakin's fate. If Qui-Gon had lived, then Anakin would have probably been a Jedi. Yeah,
he probably would have stuck with Qui-Gon, being more of a gray Jedi instead of a very pure Jedi.
Right,
what they were trying to reach him to do. Like, they were trying to get him to be a very pure Jedi, when I feel like he would have been more in line with Gray.
Right.
And
and
had Qui-Gon been his mentor, that would have been the case, and he would have found ways to deal with the anger and the anxiety of, for example, the dreams that he was having about Padme.
Yeah, Qui-Gon would have been able to talk him through it. No problem. He probably did the same for Dooku. He was just
such an underutilized character. I mean, exactly, being Dooku's mentor. Like... he was so underutilized in these movies, like outside of being in the first and then like name dropped at the end of the third.
Right.
It makes me so mad, and I really hope that we'll see him in some way in the Kenobi series.
Yes. And Liam Neeson even says like he's still super proud of Qui-Gon in The Phantom Menace.
It's an incredible role. He's my favorite Jedi.
Yeah.
Well, second favorite.
Very understandable. Very understandable. Who is your favorite?
Obi-Wan. It's an obvious one. I mean, he was always my favorite growing up. Yeah. I liked Luke. He's just a little whiny sometimes, though, and Obi-Wan was very stoic and cool.
Right.
He was badass.
I haven't heard that name in many years. Yeah, I love Dooku. Dooku was such an interesting plotline. He was fully aware of everything the Sith and the Jedi were doing. Anything he wasn't aware explicitly, he's like, I don't know exactly what's going down, but I know where it's going, and I just want to, He just wants to make it by. Yeah. Yeah. He's so smart, so calculated. He is truly the first almost gray Jedi. Like,
yeah, had he not gone over with, like, Palpatine and the Sith, he would have totally just been that middle ground Jedi. He could have started his own, I guess, organization, his own order.
And it would have immediately...
it would have worked.
Yeah. I mean, we saw him in Attack of the Clones talk with Obi-Wan.
Very civilized.
Like, hey, like, I'm not truly evil, bro. Like, join my side. We can fix this shit.
Like,
and if Qui-Gon had been alive...
He's on his own agenda.
Qui-Gon would have joined him. And hence Anakin would have joined him, I'm pretty sure.
I don't know if Qui-Gon would have joined him in that state. I feel like he would have recognized Dooku as too far gone.
That's fair. Yeah.
I feel like had it been under different circumstances, yes. Absolutely.
Like if he hadn't gone with Palpatine.
Exactly. But because of that decision, Dooku, in his own right, did become a villain. And I think they go more in depth on why that kind of happened throughout the Clone Wars like TV show, but that's another story for another day. Right.
Yeah, I mean, another major point to bring up with Phantom Menace is the villain it introduced.
Darth Maul.
The main link between all three trilogy eras.
Absolutely. And I think the most important Sith now at this point, in terms of live action animated appearances, outside of like the books and comics, he's a huge deal.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Throughout the entire series. And that's not something you'd expect after being only in one film originally until Solo. And dying at the very end. And
anyone who didn't watch the animated shows had no idea he was still
confused.
Alive.
They were very confused. I heard some outcry from people who had no idea what was going on.
It was so funny.
I'm just like, how do you not know at this point?
Right. I mean, he fell down a well in Naboo. He stayed alive from pure spite and revenge and hatred, and then he got tossed aside by Palpatine in the Clone Wars.
Yeah.
He went out to do his own thing, took control of the biggest crime syndicate there was in the galaxy. He controlled everything from the sidelines completely.
He was the puppet master this whole time, in a sense.
Yeah. Formerly Sith, now just Maul. He's so cool.
It is hard that it is weird to think that he did finally kick the bucket eventually, and I think they did it in a very satisfying way. It hurts still because I do love Maul, but they did it in a way that I think they never need to change. That is the perfect ending to the story.
Agreed. A lot of people complain that it was too cut dry, way too short, but it's like
it was going after that, like Lucas's love of these old samurai films, the single clean stroke across from the hip. It's a beautiful scene, and realizing he's watching over like the chosen one, the one to save the galaxy. Yeah. And he realizes his death isn't in vain.
Right. He knows, like, regardless of his side, his position in all of the political climate in Star Wars,
things will work out.
Yeah, he's got the chosen one is going to avenge him by taking down Palpatine, ideally.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And it was a great
he's
ending.
Able to peacefully rest. Yeah. And that's a great moment for
Maul, who lived on, like, just savage and spite was all Maul was. And
finally finding peace.
Yeah, overdue. After three trilogies.
Yeah.
Dude deserved a nap.
He really did.
Yeah.
I mean, well, he wasn't... Not 3 trilogies. Technically 2.
Right. He was through...
If you want to count Solo being part of the new movie...
I'm thinking, like, throughout the prequels, and then there was, obviously, the OT. He was leading the Syndicate.
Right.
With, like,
Solo. I guess so.
Rebels. Rebels was, like, just pre-OT.
Yeah.
We had young Lando young Padme, or not Padme, Leia, other Skywalker, ajar. Yeah, and then he was. Oh yeah, I guess he wasn't.
He wasn't in this. Yeah.
But with all of the content we got with him in Clone Wars and Rebels,
it feels Solo, like he's been around the entire time.
Yeah, and getting back with Kenobi, which obviously isn't confirmed, but we right when Ray Park posts a photo of his prosthetics when Kenobi starts filming,
that's too coincidental.
All right, he's too vital,
exactly.
Especially after showing him in the end of Solo, and then not getting any payoff to that.
This is the payoff,
right? It's coming.
I would love to see a live action recreation of like Maul's final moments, that ending, that last duel.
Yes.
I feel like that might be the direction they're going.
That would be amazing. Like a Force vision or something, since it's beforehand.
Yeah.
Like having Kenobi see.
Having some sort of lead up to it, though, is what I want to see.
Yeah. I would like, I don't know, I feel like it's kind of odd that throughout the prequels, Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan were fighting Maul for the fate of the Chosen One, Anakin. And then when Maul disappears at the end of that movie, he comes back and he's trying to get vengeance, obviously, and he is constantly betrayed by Palpatine, and Anakin becomes Palpatine's bodyguard.
It is like,
it's so weird that we never got to see.
I never thought about that.
I
never thought about that.
Even in Clone Wars season 7, he meets Ahsoka, right? I'll try and say this as little spoilery as possible, but he meets Ahsoka.
Well, it's been out for so long,
right?
At this point, if you haven't watched it,
But he meets Ahsoka, and his first line is, "Why are you here?" And he's hoping for Kenobi or Anakin. And when he starts talking to Ahsoka, Ahsoka's like, "What the fuck are you doing?" And he's like, Palpatine has this big plot. He's basically going to kill both the Sith and the Jedi and make way for what he wants exclusively. And Anakin is how he's going to do that. And Ahsoka's like, that's not true. And it's like so many times, like with Dooku talking to Kenobi and Maul talking to Ahsoka.
They deny
so
it
many times.
They don't want to believe it.
Yeah, we had Sith trying to save the galaxy from Palpatine. Twice.
That just goes to show how evil he is.
Yeah, he shadow gamed the entire
thing. That even the Sith don't want him around.
Right. The Sith don't want a lot of the Sith around.
That's true, but like specifically how often they go after specifically Palpatine,
right,
not anyone else.
Yeah, the entire franchise is Palpatine getting his way and shadow gaming the entire.
It really
both
is.
sides, the light and the dark. It's insane, and how he uses he literally uses a vagabond Jedi as a ploy to purchase a clone army to gain instant power. He gets a cheat. He uses them as the cheat code.
He really does.
And then it's an immediate leeway into the Empire.
He must have gotten the most recent issue of Nintendo Power.
Unlimited power. I love it.
Throwback to episode 1. Or was it 0? That was 0 actually.
Yep.
Oh man.
PNG, not PNG lightning bolts.
I did a good job with those, I think.
You did. We didn't expect to go that far.
Dude, I did not realizing how taxing editing can be. It took me like 4 days just to edit the intro together and like 2 to edit the last episode together.
Let us know if it was worth it.
I was up till 6 a.m. just to finish the episode. We're recording this the day before the next episode goes up now.
You guys are about to see Spidey.
Oh.
But yeah.
Yeah, it's going to be a good episode. It's going to be thwipping awesome. That's the title of it, actually. You guys already know that because you've watched it, but I was clever with that pun.
If not, what are you doing? I guess
go back and watch it!
Wars, but...
Ya cuck!
Right.
Anyways.
Our fandoms are not mutually exclusive here.
Yes, anyways.
Okay.
That was aggressive, I'm sorry.
With the topic of the clone army that Palpatine enlisted, I want to talk about Tamir Morrison and his hand in this. I mean, we got Jango Fett, we got the story of Boba Fett getting its groundwork finally. We didn't have any. Boba Fett...
We finally get information. He was just a maskless character. There were a few novels. I've got a handful of novels.
Outside of the novels, just in the movies, all Boba Fett did was take a job for Vader, not do that job. Vader did the job, and get his ass kicked by Luke 3 times. And everyone fucking loved him. He was so cool.
He was the coolest. He still is. Right. And even more so now because of like the setup we got.
Yes. Mandalorian.
And yes, the Mandalorian,
the
of course. Prequels.
Getting Jango. And even when the prequels launched, people were still up in arms. Jango's not an actual Mandalorian. Jango is a Mandalorian. Is Boba Fett an actual Mandalorian?
It's like he was, then he wasn't, then he...
Right. It unraveled
the lore got so confusing. It's still to this day I don't fully understand.
Yeah, no,
I struggle with it.
The Mandalorian race has gotten rewritten so many times.
I don't know what's canon and not at this point, dude.
It's hard to tell, but now we know that Jango and Boba were both Mandalorians. They were both...
Well, no, they weren't Mandalorians.
Yeah.
They were adopted into the Mandalorian.
Which is a Mandalorian. Which I mean, Din Djarin is the same thing.
But, like, later on in life.
Yeah. He was a Jango was a foundling, just like Din. And he got his armor, fought in the Mandalorian Wars, earned his stripes, and then...
Right, but Boba necessarily isn't.
No, Boba is just a simple man trying to make his way through the galaxy.
Right, exactly. Jango, right. I would say he is.
But he got his armor and repainted it from his dad.
Right.
And he carries on his dad's ideals with all of his dad's training. He's a genetic clone of his dad. And we got all of that in the prequels, which is great.
We got one of the most emotional moments, I think, in at least the second episode, which is
in the
Boba
ring with Mace Windu.
His head.
Yeah.
It hurts every time.
Yeah. It shows how bloodthirsty the Jedi were once they found out that the Sith were active again.
Once they went to war.
Right.
It's a new era for Jedi. Yeah. It really did show that with the clones starting
to... The clones touched down. The Jedi were going for kill shots. We had the origin of Boba right there. Mm-hmm. It was heartbreaking.
It really was.
It was the turning point for the prequels. Was the debut of the clones.
Yeah. I think the way that they showed we got to see both the like the clone army being assembled, grown, and how they're trained, as well as seeing the droids, how they're created. Yes. I love the way they did that.
Geonosis.
Where it was like an action scene, but we still got to see the production line of the droids. They did that amazingly.
Right. They not only paved a bunch of lore, and
R2 is a badass.
Yes. That we've known. Yes. R2 is the greatest of all time.
He is.
Yeah, that was amazing. The Battle of Geonosis and all of the scenes on Geonosis really paved the way for the prequels.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And then from there we got the Empire theme at the end of Attack of the Clones. We got Anakin with his arm lopped off. Dooku escaped.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Mullet Obi-Wan.
Mullet Obi-Wan. Yeah, right over here. Our little mullet boy.
Yeah. Jedi Jesus.
Yeah. Genuinely, I think that they couldn't have done a better job with the casting for these movies.
Agreed. I could go on for months about how much I adore Hayden Christensen's Anakin.
It was the perfect casting for Anakin. Yeah. They just the direction he was given was not the correct one. Right. That was the mistake.
George was supervised when he was writing the prequels,
and he was relentless with how specific he wanted. Yeah.
And George isn't the greatest with social interactions.
No, he's not. And that's not on him.
You're right. But Hayden carried out. I mean,
Hayden did a great job adapting the character.
Right. He delivered all of the lines with the cadence and he embodied Vader.
Yeah.
He tried his best, and he pulled it off.
You can tell that he seems awkward in certain scenes. Like when looking behind the scenes, especially, you can see moments he's very awkward about what he's doing. But with the shots that they used in the movie, when he gets into the character, it doesn't feel quite like acting. It's cheesy. Yeah. It's corny. But it feels real.
Right. And that's how Vader was. He was corny. He was campy, but he still was a badass.
Exactly.
And this is just before he was a badass.
And then he had the sassiest walk.
Yes.
And that stayed true with Hayden Christensen too.
Oh yeah.
He somehow embodied the Vader walk still.
Yeah.
And I'm here for it.
And that's why I cannot wait to see him back for for Kenobi.
Oh yeah, for his again going back to Kenobi, his appearances. There's a lot of characters that we're excited to see. The actors that portrayed Owen and Beru in Revenge of the Sith, they're coming back as well, which is going to be exciting because that means we'll see the Lars farm probably.
Right. And we have Hayden as Anakin / Vader. Yeah, obviously.
And it'll be the first
Obi-Wan. We could possibly. It's very likely we'll get Rosario as Ahsoka. We've got Katie Sackhoff as Bo-Katan. We've got Ray Park as Maul. Like, who are we getting? It's great.
It's super exciting.
Yeah. The third movie, though.
This one I know is your favorite.
No, yeah. I mean, Attack of the Clones may be my favorite, but there's a lot of negatives about it.
Oh, for sure.
Overlook to keep it my favorite. Revenge of the Sith, though. First Star Wars I saw in theaters. It's hard to take those nostalgia goggles off.
Exactly. I get that completely.
And the lightsaber fights.
It's incredible, dude. The intensity between Hayden and Ewan McGregor on set. Yeah. Like, that combat at the very end on Mustafar.
Hearing all of the people behind the scenes just praising them for their cut, like, how strongly they committed.
I cry every time, dude. I cry every single time.
Yeah. It's just a tragedy. And they tied up basically everything they introduced in the OT for their characters.
Yeah.
In such a neat, perfect little bow.
Not to mention that movie had the best dogfighting out of any other Star Wars movie, in my opinion.
Right out the get-go.
Right, yeah, just going straight in. Like, it's... this is where the fun begins. Yeah. No way!
Spot on.
Jinx!
And they not only had the best aerial fights, but they really showed the characters within them. We had Obi-Wan, I hate flying. And then the buzz droids, and he's like, I'm just going down, Anakin. And Anakin's like, no, you're fucking not.
I got you.
Pew, pew, pew. Like, it just shows their characters. So great.
Absolutely. And it's such an action-packed scene, and it's down to the wire at the end to get into that.
The doors closing, closing.
My God. Slides in, skids, just barely making it.
And then immediately hopping out and tearing down a fucking platoon of droids.
Oh my God. It's such an incredible moment. And it really shows how skilled these guys are.
Yes. I think one of the most important parts of that opening sequence for me is the deleted scenes.
Which ones specifically? Because there's just a lot.
The banter between Anakin and Obi-Wan.
Oh,
them plotting out their moves, them...
I thought you were talking about Anakin getting hit in the balls while fighting.
No, that was great.
That's a great one. That's one of my favorites. I'll take you myself. Like... just falls to the ground.
Ian McDermott just giggling like a child in the back? So. I love it.
Oh, it's so funny. It's one of my favorites.
The chemistry they have offset is great, but just knowing that it got to set up a less creepy Anakin and all of the actual relationship between Obi-Wan and Anakin we didn't get to see in the prequels. Mm-hmm.
We got a bit of it. I wouldn't say we didn't get any, but
it's definitely not
that brotherly love we see the most in the third
deleted scenes in the third
film
movie.
And in the deleted scenes.
If you didn't know, they're all on Disney Plus extras under each.
Oh, they're under Disney Plus now?
Yeah, they have been. Yeah,
I didn't even realize.
It took me a year.
I've just been going to YouTube whenever I want to watch this stuff.
Yeah, even Shock T's 2 different deaths from Order 66 are there.
Dang, that's actually a hard clip to find.
Yeah.
Not even gonna lie. Last time I was looking for that, it took me an hour.
Yeah, they're super
maybe not
buried.
An hour, but it felt like that.
Yeah. Apparently they've been obviously not a lot of people know to go to the extras tab on the movies, which is why I want to mention it because it took me a year to find it.
I gotta check out that feature more. I think then.
Yeah.
Holy crap!
I've rewatched him so many times, and the speaking droid scene. Oh yes, he wants to go up. I don't speak droid. It's just great. It's such great banter. Yeah, it's hilarious. And it's a side a lot of people complain about Anakin.
The prequels nailed the balance between being very serious and still having a great level of comedy.
Right. They show with every person they're not just one character type. Everyone's got dimensions and layers, and we get to see that.
Speaking of comedy, I have something a little controversial. I started out hating him. At first, I really did. But over time, I grew to absolutely just love Jar Jar.
Yes.
Like, as obviously seen by the Jar Jar cup there and the figure up there. I love Jar Jar Binks.
There, we've got one down there.
Not even joking. I've burned maybe 3 or 4 Jar Jar figures in my lifetime with gasoline or rubbing alcohol.
This is before you...
This is before I began to fall in love with him. Partially because of the fan theories, but even so, I realized they kind of did need his comedy in certain moments.
Yeah, no, I think
like
he
the battle on
helped
Naboo
with the pacing. Absolutely,
he
I
did.
think Phantom Menace would have been so slow without him.
Granted, at the same time, I do wish there were more politics, but I'm glad we had just a good amount of comedy in these movies, and that's what I love about them.
And the politics is also one of the major things. I mean, knowing that like most of these foundations weren't in the OT, like we just had like the Empire was taking over. Right.
Yeah, it's a full government takeover that we see throughout the movies.
Right. And we get to see the setup in the prequels, like the Trade Federation trying to like, tax the tea, if you will.
Exactly.
And the Jedi trying to step in and have civil negotiations to stop this corruption was the first thing that happens in the trilogy.
It sparked the whole descent into madness with Palpatine taking over.
The Republic... The Palpatine.
The cards just were played just right, and the situations fell right into his hand.
Yeah,
like everything that could have gone right went right for the most part. With
he was
the occasional
10 steps ahead always.
Plot foiled, but that was expected.
Right.
Palpatine knew that he was going to fail time to time, and he predicted it, and so he chose when to fail and when not to.
He had 10 backup plans, and he constantly tested his plans along the way, as we know by how many times he tried to murder Vader. Like,
yes,
dude is relentless.
He really tested Anakin over and over again to see if he was the right one.
Yeah, and he continues to until the day Anakin is like, nah, bro, you're going down the well. Say hi to Mario for me.
It's a pipe.
Yeah.
He really did, what's the word I'm looking for? Watch his career.
Yeah. Throughout
the entire span. Spies everywhere keeping tabs on Anakin. It's insane.
I love one of my favorite parts of the prequel trilogy is thinking about how fast it would have been over if he had just like directly murdered like the leaders, because like one of the main plot progressions is because he didn't want to kill Padme because he wanted to use her against Anakin, so he sent Jango to kill Padme. Jango didn't want to kill her, so he sent the shapeshifter bounty hunter to kill Padme.
Yeah,
and all of that backfired. I can't remember.
I can't remember off the. It'll come to me probably at some point.
She's got the helmet, the orange
Zeb.
Mouth. It's something weird
Zed?
like that.
I don't know. It was something weird. I can't remember right now. I'd have to go back and...
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. They obviously had a great soundtrack.
Yes.
About there. Obviously
the tracks that we got kind of redone and snuck in there from the original trilogy. Whenever I hear a little tune that I recognize, example, the Empire theme.
Right. Whenever Anakin is being a little sketchy when he's killing the Tusken Raiders, when the clone army is shown at the end of episode 2.
They used music to their advantage every possibility they could.
Yeah.
Every chance they got to kind of nod to a moment from that will connect to the future in the prequel, or not the prequels, the original trilogy, they make sure with the music they play.
Right, exactly. And we see that symbolism all throughout with the costuming, the ships, the everything. It's amazing, especially with the progression of the clone troopers. Starting out with the kind of the Mandalorian visor, because they're cloned off of Mandalorian,
right,
with the mouths, and then slowly getting the upgrades with the eyes, and then they chop out the middle part altogether.
And then get stormtroopers.
And now, you haven't seen this yet, Bad Batch confirmed another phase, the first phase of TK Troopers.
Really?
Yeah, so straight off of... So, with the Phase 3 armor and the ARC Troopers and all that, Palpatine was so pissed about all of their individuality and all the coloring and markings and their platoons.
He wanted that uniform white.
Wiped them all white. all blank troopers except for the Coruscant Guard, and then they put on the Ralph McQuarrie trooper costumes. The first model of TK troopers are officially in canon, the McQuarrie concept art troopers, and then they're trained and led by Republic commandos.
Oh
yeah.
Oh,
it's so cool, and it's
dude. Okay, I need to start watching this like soon.
ASAP. Thoroughly recommend it.
I don't know why I haven't gotten around to it. It's
The Bad Batch you really need to watch after Clone Wars. And
I still have to watch the last season. That's just what I'm stuck on, and I don't. It's because I don't want to watch the last season. I don't want it to end.
But it's the best.
I know it is. But
I'll force you to eventually.
Someday.
Yeah, ASAP. I mean, especially when we cosplay Clone Wars Obi-Wan.
Yeah, because I remember when that like show came out. I remember watching the premiere of the original movie for the Clone Wars. Yep. I like that. That is my like Star Wars childhood. That was the show I watched growing up.
And I didn't watch it growing up. I didn't catch it. I mean, one of my friends in high school, one of my good friends, Ivy, she constantly recommended the Clone Wars to me, and I was like, yeah, I'll watch it when I get to it. But I had the impression it was a kids show, like a lot of people mistakenly do. And when it came to Disney Plus, I finally had that access, and there was already a wiki list of the correct order to watch them in. So I've watched it 4 times over now.
Honestly, I just watched them chronologically as they were released. It's
totally
too much hassle for me to go through. I did that with Batman the Animated Series recently.
It's a hassle.
It was so much jumping around because HBO. I don't even think they didn't put them in chronological to release or chronological time wise. So you have to either way you have to go through and pick out specific episodes, and it hurts my head.
If you can keep track of the plot points, it's fine to just watch it through.
Exactly.
Absolutely. It's mainly just about the characters.
Right.
Because we get Maul's character progression. We get Palpatine behind the scenes. We get Padme being a badass.
Oh my god, yes.
She's
always been a badass. In Attack of the Clones, when they're on, Geonosis, she's
shreds.
So badass.
Right, like, is Padme safe? I think she's on top of things.
She really is.
You know who she is. And you get to see her be that badass in government functions, which is great.
Right.
We get to see basically everyone. We get to see Anakin being an actual good guy and his downfall into the dark side a bit more explicitly spelled out. It's phenomenal.
And it really goes further in depth into the bond that Obi-Wan and Anakin have, as well as the relationship between Anakin and Padme really grows with the show. Right,
yeah. I mean, we didn't get too much of that in the movies.
Not to mention, it's the best representation of Jar Jar Binks.
Agreed. Especially when he has the episode where he has to pretend
to be a Jedi. Yes! that is one of my all-time favorite episodes of Clone Wars. If anyone who's ever asked me like my favorite episode, because at cons it sometimes will come up in conversation, right away that's my answer. That is my go-to answer.
Can't even knock you for it.
The worms that go in the nose take over the brains of the clones. That's my second, just because how much of an impact it had on me as a kid, and it got me more interested into this thriller horror genre that I wasn't, like the sci-fi. That episode is what got me to watch Alien and Aliens and Predator.
Nice.
Those movies.
Yeah, it was really it showed that there's more to Star Wars than you see on an average basis.
Right.
And it showed that it can get fucking terrifying if it wants to.
The only threat isn't like Sith or like the Trade Federation.
Like, don't forget these little worms that will literally like crawl in your body and take you over like a parasite. Like
exactly.
What?
And being on like Geonosis too.
Yeah.
Not even being like on, like not being some random planet. Yeah, it's one we know and has been well established.
Freaky. I love it. My favorites are all from season 7. The Siege of Mandalore. We get the Ahsoka clone troopers. We get the tail end of the Clone Wars.
I totally understand,
dude. We get all of Order 66 in parallel with the movies. We get Maul, the pivotal.
I don't know if I'm ready for that. Like executing Order 66. Like,
it's heartbreaking.
I don't know if I'm ready for that.
Yeah, we get to see it from a different perspective that's even more soul shattering. And obviously Ahsoka is a key point in the series now. And
I'm glad they brought her into live action and are utilizing her more outside of just animated shows.
Yeah. I know there's a lot of controversy about the casting, but we'll get into that on a separate day.
Yeah, different day.
There's a lot to cover there.
Yes.
But yeah, they I couldn't go on about the prequels enough. I love them. They're my favorite Star Wars. But
really,
I shared that with most of Star Wars, but the prequels I just love this whole trilogy.
So would you say your favorite Star Wars movie of all time is one of the prequels?
Yeah, I guess I would say Revenge of the Sith is probably the most pivotal to me.
I kind of expected that. Like, it wasn't a mind-blown answer, but I wasn't sure, because there's a lot of really good movies.
Oh, yeah. You know? My second favorite, every time I tell people, I used to say it was my favorite. Mm-hmm. Revenge of the Sith kind of took the forefront again. Right. But my last favorite, everyone was caught off guard by, and that was Solo.
So, I do like Solo. Yeah. It's underappreciated. Agreed. I feel like a lot of people shit on it because it wasn't Harrison Ford.
Silly fan base.
I don't think it was the perfect casting, but he did a great job. Oh, yeah. And Lando. Donald Glover nailed Lando Calrissian. There wasn't a better casting choice out there.
Yeah, if my relationship ever becomes polyamorous, I'm hitting up Donald Glover.
First thing. Going after Uncle Aaron, huh?
Uncle Aaron, Lando. Can I borrow one of your capes? Lando's great.
There are a lot of great characters throughout all the Star Wars. Yoda, for example.
Or the most important, Sebulba.
Okay. I think that they did Sebulba a little dirty. I feel like he should have been neck and neck with Anakin just barely taking the lead by the end of it. I feel like that would have been far more humiliating to Sebulba than crashing his pod racer in the middle of the track.
That's fair. It might be my the Captain America stan in me. I just hate bullies, and he bullied the fuck out of Anakin.
I know.
And I was just ready to see him crash and burn. So when he crashed and burned, it was great. But
I would have been fine. Like after they cross the line, he keeps going and crashes. I'm not saying I'm not
that would have
mad
been
about
funny.
The crash, but I'm saying that they should have had Anakin just seconds before Sebulba, where Sebulba thinks he's won for a second, only to have that taken away in the replay.
Right. It would have been cool if he went to punch nitrous boost, and then it just popped. So they were just neck and neck, finish lines at the table.
He's skidding and he thinks he makes it.
He goes to hit the boost right before the finish line, and it just boom, and Anakin.
Oh, that would have been so good.
I agree.
Anyways. Let's talk about what was instead of what we wish would have happened. Although we're going to talk about this later.
Side series on Sebulba.
Yeah, the Sebulba segment.
No. No, we're wrapping up.
This is the final episode, guys.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
We're starting the Sebulba series.
Yeah, we have to rebrand.
Yeah.
Hey guys, welcome to the Sebulba Couch.
Now this is pod racing.
No.
I feel so bad. I can't remember the kid's I guess he's not a kid now. The actor for Anakin in Phantom Menace. I can't remember his name off the top of my head. It's skipping me right now, but I feel really bad for what went down, being bullied in school and just taking this really sad
got his life derailed because of the fan base.
It hurts to see that because I don't think he did a bad job.
No, he was great. Yeah, I mean, regardless of if he did, it's not worth ruining someone's life over.
He's a kid just trying to perform. Right. You're not gonna be perfect.
He was a great kid actor.
But he was a great kid actor. That's the problem. Yeah. And they were expecting the world of him, I think, is the issue, because they're labeling him as Anakin.
They were expecting him to be Vader level. They were expecting James Earl Jones out of this 6-year-old kid.
They weren't expecting just a kid living on a desolate planet.
Right. It's bizarre. But that's the fan base. So they get that way quite often.
Same way they got when Yoda was CGI. I like the CGI Yoda.
Me too.
they couldn't have done what they did with him without making him CGI. Right. The lightsaber combat was just so intricate and cool. Yeah. Seeing this, like, what we think is like an older man, like crotchety old man with a cane, drop it, pull out the lightsaber, and go ham on Dooku. And then the next movie, go ham on Sidious. Yeah. It's so badass. Yeah. He's a force to be reckoned with.
And it's great because with the OT, Luke, we didn't get to see any of his training. He got like... No. I mean, even with the things we didn't see, he got like 2 weeks of training. So it's nice to get a little bit of like how that is even possible with seeing that Yoda's actually super great.
Seeing how like skilled Yoda was really shows how in-depth Luke's training must have been. Right. And because he was expecting a lot from Luke.
Yeah. And, the greater or the bigger they are, the harder they fall. Mm-hmm. We get to see why Yoda got overzealous and let the Sith sneak under their nose.
Yeah, it was...
He was powerful, and he wanted to keep that power. He got a little dumb, a little corrupted.
Yeah, he didn't make the right decisions, but he kind of realized that and tries to make amends when training Luke.
Right. We get to see why
he gets very humbled, which he was kind of already. We kind of see that earlier on, where emotionally he's humbled, but his actions don't always reflect that.
Right. He's still a little blind, and then we get to see
he's still growing as a character, and I think even though the original trilogy, of course, came first before the prequels, they still showed that growth in a way, and I liked it.
I think, and obviously we get to see that development through Yoda carry on over into the sequel trilogy. Mm-hmm. Last Jedi Yoda is my favorite Yoda.
Oh, I'm fully aware. We've talked about this multiple times. Bringing back the puppet and just being, I think,
the greatest teacher.
Yeah, he was the link that kind of made everything come together.
He had finally learned the true Jedi way. He wasn't the hermit that was punishing himself anymore. No. He wasn't the zealous leader of the Jedi Order anymore. He was just
accepted everything that had happened and realized that in the end things worked out. I mean, it's kind of same with how Maul finished.
Right.
I mean, like, I think at the end of the day, these movies really show that no matter what happens, good is going to triumph.
Right.
And that's really important.
But it's also, on the opposite side of that, to be a devil's advocate, seeing... Anakin actually be the chosen one and bring balance to the Force by wiping out most of the Jedi.
And then wiping out the Sith in a way. Well, at that point in time, to our knowledge, it's blah, blah, blah.
It's right. It's just really funny because, they were so adamant on, breaking their rules to let Anakin join the Jedi Order because he was the chosen one and he was going to bring balance. But what kind of balance did you expect when there were 3 Sith that you knew of and hundreds of Jedi?
There was balance is a two-way street in this case.
Right. And they were very dumb and blind, but yeah.
Which is I think kind of why Grey Jedi have that good balance between not going to the dark side, but not embracing the light side blindly.
Right, they're like political centrists.
Right.
They look at both sides and they don't hold any rules. They look at what makes the most sense.
Right. They look for the betterment of people, not just their order.
And education. Learning.
Right, yeah.
Learning about
Qui-Gon, of course, being the best example of this, in my opinion.
Right. Dooku being a close second.
I mean, if we want to go into expanded stuff too, and non-canon stuff, Revan is also a good example.
He got thrown back and forth between light and dark.
We see that distraught kind of mentality, not knowing what side's the right one to be, and I think overall we see him become a very gray Jedi in that sense.
Why he has the purple saber. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and Windu probably would have been the same if he wasn't in the political climate of the fall of the Republic.
Had he not been so involved with that, I feel like he would have been much more of a gray Jedi in the first place.
Yeah.
But given the circumstances, politically being a very challenging time, and with the war going on...
Yeah, and that's really what Star Wars is it's sci-fi politics.
It is, and I don't think people realize that and then complain about it when they discover that's what it is.
They pull an Obi-Wan. I'm not brave enough for politics. really funny. It's so funny. I mean, when Lucas was just like,
how did this happen? We're smarter than this.
That line fits for way too much of Star Wars.
It does.
I mean, the memes that we got out of the prequel era.
Yes, the prequel memes, I think, are the best memes out of any other Star Wars movies. There's some great sequel ones and some really good original trilogy and some of the other movies like Rogue One and Solo. But the prequel memes are where it shines.
They founded so much. I mean, anyone who's seen the prequels or saw them when they were super relevant.
Yeah.
Anytime someone says, hello there,
General Kenobi,
it's a reflex.
It is.
If you've
At this
seen
point,
Star Wars.
It's
right. Like, obviously we both have ADHD brain.
Right, yep.
The quotes are constantly going through our heads anyways, but,
I used to be able to recite A New Hope.
Yeah. I could only recite Jim Carrey's The Mask when I was 5. But
the whole thing?
Yeah, I knew the whole script of The Mask when
That's
I was 5 years old.
That's a challenging one to get, and 5
years old. I wrote an essay on it. It was pretty fun.
For me, it was like back in early high school because I would just sit in the back of class with my laptop watching shows pretending like I was studying.
Nice.
And then I would study later. I just wanted to watch shows and movies. I had a USB stick filled to the brim and just a cheap laptop with emulators on it during class, and a bunch of Star Wars games actually.
Hell yeah!
Like the TIE Fighter and X-wing games from like the 90s and or maybe that was even the 80s. I don't even.
I really, really loved the Revenge of the Sith game when it was out. That game founded a lot of my childhood gaming preferences.
I've seen it. I've been in the same room with someone playing it. I haven't played it.
See, yeah,
and I've watched gameplay, and it looks like a total blast. But I need my own copy of it. I need to get it.
Yeah, no, my brother's 9 years older than me, and he had it, so we played on his original Xbox. Getting to pop out of the cockpit and take down the droids at the beginning of Episode 3, fight Dooku, like the Battle on Mustafar. It was a great game.
For me, I grew up, of course, with like the Lego Star Wars games, of course, but also. And this is a weird one that I don't hear many people talking about. So the Wii was a very family-friendly console. You didn't see too many N games, and there weren't a whole lot of T games either. But there was a Clone Wars game that was rated T for the Wii, and it was a lightsaber fighting game where you used the Wii remote as a lightsaber to fight your opponent. And you face forward, so you don't face each other, but you actually duel each other with the Wii remote. It's just like
Wii boxing, right?
I loved it so much. I bought attachments for my Wii remotes that added like polycarbonate lightsaber blades to them.
That would be fun. That would be really fun.
I'll have to pull them out sometime.
Have a Star Wars gaming day.
We'd probably stream that.
I mean, hot take, but not a very hot take. Lego Star Wars is probably one of the best aspects of the franchise.
It's I think it's just one of my favorite games of all time, dude. Like the complete saga in particular, like that original, it's great. I had them individually, like the prequel and the original trilogy on PS2. Then I got them on the Wii as the complete trilogy.
And I had them on the Xbox. So.
I also have it on the DS.
Nice. Magnificent. I mean, I have my old lunchbox, but it's really messed up. I have my Attack of the Clones lunchbox still.
Yeah, that one's super cool. I'm a little jealous of that. It's an awesome lunchbox.
I had a really tiny Revenge of the Sith one, but yeah, that the era of the prequels will live on forever.
Oh yeah,
obviously. It started out being so hated, which is really funny, and we'll see that. I'm just waiting for the bill to be paid for the sequel trilogy to go through the same thing in like 10 years.
Yep.
People are saying the same things that they said about the prequels.
It's gonna be the case because people are gonna look back and be like, I guess it wasn't that bad.
Right.
I love them. Right. I love the sequel trilogy.
There's things to enjoy in every trilogy, and there's so much like lore and just meat to Star Wars that if you can't find something you like in a trilogy, bro, that's hard. 9 hours you just couldn't find anything you liked about it. Star Wars ain't for you. Why are you talking? Like, you know?
Yeah, I mean, you can find the positives in anything. Like even getting food poisoning, you get to skip work for a day.
Right.
There's always positives to some, even the worst things of all time.
Exactly.
Well, maybe not everything. There's some pretty bad things.
If there's Ewan McGregor's face, how can you frown when watching
I thought you were about to go into, if there was Ewan McGregor's Ewan McGregor's face on like a cat or something, I don't know. I thought you were about to like say it, like his face on something else entirely on anything other than Ewan McGregor. Wow, I can't speak today.
I think you just want to see him playing a Kraken or something. I don't know. Something ending with an N. Ewan McGregor.
I think I've had this song stuck in my head, Dear McCracken. I think that's where my brain's tripping up right now.
Either way, anything with Ewan McGregor's face, if you can't find a positive there, you're broken.
Oh yeah.
That's my consensus. Anything else we want to touch on here?
Dude, we covered a lot in that amount of time.
Yeah, all over the place.
I feel like it's time to kind of dive into news.
Yeah. I think the rest we want to cover can probably be covered with...
Wait another day.
Yeah.
I think... Do you want to take this off? Because you kind of have some really important news about the future of Marvel.
Yeah, of entertainment history, truly.
Yeah.
As some of you may know, there's a licensing dispute between the Stan Lee estate and the Jack Kirby estate and Marvel. Basically, Marvel, the MCU, Disney, is suing the estates of our comic book founders in order to keep the rights for the characters in the MCU.
And it's hard to really go for either side on this one, because on one hand, I do feel like these estates and like the people who created these characters should see the profit from that. So these families that they're like Jack Kirby's family and Stan Lee's family, they should be getting something
Marvel,
from
really.
it.
Yeah, true.
They made Marvel what it is today.
Right.
But at the same time, it hurts seeing that these estates want to take the IPs from them, and that would kind of crash and burn the MCU.
Right. Like, without these, it's one or the other. We're about 2023.
It's the deadline.
The deadline is
more or less. Yeah.
It's the cutoff where we're gonna have to choose, or they're gonna. The fate's in their hands, but between comics or the movies.
I feel like Disney's going to do everything they can to keep these IPs, so I'm not worried about the MCU that much, but just that being a possibility hurts, because I love these movies. They've been around for such a long time, going all the way back to the first Iron Man in 2008.
Right.
Like,
for a lot of people, it was the introduction to one or the other.
And now we get this information about we might lose Iron Man, Spider-Man, Doctor Strange, the Hulk, Black Widow, these essential characters to this series.
It's gonna hurt whichever property. I mean,
no, either way, it's gonna hurt, because on one, unless they find a way to get both parties happy,
it seems like I'm really hoping they're gonna take the same route they did with the Sony situation with Spider-Man and those franchises, because they found a middle ground.
But I don't know how well another drunk phone call from Tom Holland is going to do.
Right. Can't work twice.
Maybe hopefully Feige this time.
Right. A drunk call from Feige. Oh, yeah, it's scary. But on the plus side of Marvel news, we have a new trailer for a Hulu series.
Yes.
Some of you may have watched the MODOK series. I wasn't a big fan of it.
I haven't even seen it yet. I just heard so much about it that I'm not going to touch it.
I tried to watch the first... I got through 5 episodes.
That's just a feat of strength.
Yeah, they were so unenjoyable. Like, it was just nothing. They weren't enjoyable. But Hulu just announced and released the trailer for Hitmonkey.
Yes.
Which a lot of people probably don't even know who he is.
But
you're going to see that in the show.
But if you've read Deadpool, you probably know Hitmonkey. But other than that, he's an obscure character for a lot of people.
Yeah, but it's going to show his origin. It's going to show who he is. It looks like a grim, gritty,
very brutal, and gritty is a great word to use there, which is why it's not on Disney Plus. It's going straight to Hulu. Yeah, I'd be shocked if Disney actually had much to do with that at all, except outside of licensing. You know?
Right, and I'm excited.
But the animation, it looks incredible.
It's taking itself really seriously, which is amazing for Hitmonkey.
Okay, this is very random. I got Archer vibes from it a little bit.
Yes, but with less
comedy,
less quips, right?
Yeah, less comedy, more serious, but the aesthetic of it and some of like the jokes that we did get, it felt very Archer.
It kind of feels like a Marvel version of Afro Samurai. That was the vibe.
I forgot about Afro Samurai.
That was the vibe.
I've heard really good things about it, but I haven't actually watched it yet.
Oh yeah, I'll have to put you on that soon. That show is real fun.
Yeah,
and Hit Monkey is gonna be similar. So if you like Hit Monkey and you haven't seen Afro Samurai, probably be pretty good.
Yeah,
connection like that grim gritty. Doesn't take itself too seriously because of the source material, but still has a fun, enjoyable. Not a joke of a show.
Right? No, yeah. It looks like it's going to take itself seriously, which is what I'd want from the series.
Indeed.
Although they're still going to have fun with it. I mean, it's a monkey assassin.
Right.
You can't just have that be pure grit and, like, tough.
Right. He's a monkey.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's great. And, yeah. I've seen his crossovers with Deadpool the most. And...
Right.
I'm excited. And knowing how interwoven the franchises have been, it's totally possible we could get like other cameos of other characters in the show.
Absolutely.
But none are announced to my knowledge, so...
It seems to be outright Hit Monkey right now. Like, it's completely, like, separate from the rest of anything Marvel's
doing. Can you imagine us getting Hit Monkey in the MCU?
I mean...
The door's open.
We've had like Howard the Duck and Cosmo. We've had some weird characters thrown in for
Rocket.
No reason. Rocket. Having Rocket in the first place was not a strange pick because he is a main.
The Guardians was a strange pick. Yeah.
But yeah, the Guardians themselves was a strange pick, and they introduced a lot of stuff into the MCU that way.
Yeah, we got Rocket, Howard, and Cosmo from Guardians. Mm-hmm. I feel like Deadpool coming into the MCU.
I wouldn't be surprised if you got Hit Monkey.
Even if he's not, obviously he won't be a primary character.
No, but he's just a cameo or like even a name drop or like a photograph or a file or something.
Just some, yeah.
Yeah. Monkey comma hit on the side of a file, classified.
They do that so often. Just like how they had, Tadashi from Big Hero 6 in Age of Ultron.
That's right. That Easter egg.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. And they do stuff like that constantly. Like Joe Costa was one of those files too. We've got so many. There's way too many of those to go over.
Even
now.
In What If, we get little glimpses. Seeing like the list of Avengers, for example, we do see Captain Marvel pop up on that list while Black Widow is looking through it in episode 3 and a whole lot more. Like, they always throw in these great little nods to other characters in the background when we don't even realize.
It makes me so happy because obviously it's a very, very large universe.
But... Right. Outside of that, though, we've had a few more trailers the past few days. We've had a new Batman trailer, which I'm so excited for this movie. It gives me the vibe of like the Dark Knight trilogy, kind of in aesthetics. With a much more serious tone of the comics.
Right. And the original trailer dropped almost exactly a year ago.
Yep.
But this new one, it doesn't add too much.
No, we get just a few more glimpses, a few more scenes. We get a really great look of the suit.
Yes. And we get to see Batman get hit with a fucking rocket launcher. Like,
it's some insane shit.
What?
Like, this movie looks like it's going to be one of the best ever. And from what we've heard of it, from the people who have seen it so far, what we've heard from reviews, that it is one of the most groundbreaking superhero movies in the past few years.
I'm ridiculously excited.
I am too. Whenever a new Batman movie comes out, I always get very excited because he's the DC character.
Yeah, there are the staples of comic books. I mean, people who don't know comic books, they know Batman, they know Spider-Man, they probably know Superman. Right. And Iron Man wasn't big in the comics. I mean, he was
like he was a B tier character.
He was an alcoholic who had a lot of problems, but he was
really there from the beginning though, which is why people know him.
Exactly.
And then he did have a great comic book run. It's just that not many people were as invested into his comics. The people who knew about him were more invested into the Avengers comics.
Right. And from there, Batman, he's the staple for DC. And
he's been around, I think, the longest out of any other like movie hero. Starting out with like the Adam West Batman series. You even had Batman movies in the 40s.
Right.
Was it the 40s?
Yeah,
50s?
I think so.
You had some really early...
His name was...
It would have been the 50s,
either Wilson something or something Wilson, but he had that real origin debut Batman.
Yeah, there was a really old Batman movies.
I have those on DVD, by the way.
Really? We should watch them.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
But speaking of DC properties, we also got an announcement today.
We didn't realize that this was announced at all until now.
It apparently was announced for the summer, but more information was released on Black Canary is getting a movie on HBO Max,
which is very exciting.
They teased the only real new content we got was we had a couple over Twitter interviews with the main actress who is the one from Birds of Prey, or Harley Quinn in the Fabulous and Emancipation something.
Birds of Prey.
And she was fantastic in it, but we only got to see just a morsel of her, and now we got it. Teased that she's going to be wearing her leather jackets and fishnets.
Comic book accurate costume from what it sounds like.
The actress is all for it.
And with that, it opens up a whole new gate into future DC projects.
Right.
I want to know if this is going to be connected to like the Justice League movies and like that universe, or if it's going to be part of the Pattinson movie universe.
Probably not Pattinson. Because from what I'm understanding, he's going to be his own little...
Oh, I know, but I'm saying if they spun off, if it's going to connect to that, if they're going to use that movie as a branch off point for future movies in that universe.
It's so hard to tell because like
there's not a lot on it.
Yeah, and with the movies we have, like with Justice League, the Snyder Cut, Harley Quinn and the Birds of Prey, the original Suicide Squad, there's
Wonder Woman 84.
Right. They're so like almost connected, but like said to not be, but then we'll still have like Harley Quinn be the same actress and Captain Boomerang be the same actor. It's so hard to tell what's actually... It's hard to
tell what's connected and what's not. DC's all over the place with that.
Right.
I still love the movies.
Agreed.
Like, don't get me wrong. I don't think they're... even Suicide Squad had its positives.
Right.
I don't think there was a bad DC movie in the past few years. I've enjoyed everything I've watched.
Right. Shazam was phenomenal.
Oh, that was the best.
Birds of Prey was really fun.
Shazam has been one of my favorite superhero movies from DC.
I think I cried 3 times during that movie.
That's super bad.
But
it's just so much fun.
Right. It's
I think
great.
The only thing to take like first place from it is the new Suicide Squad.
The Suicide Squad is phenomenal. And
I don't think anything will top that for a bit.
No.
This Batman movie might though. I wouldn't be surprised.
Fingers crossed.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I love having Suicide Squad be my favorite DC movie, and like I love having a favorite, but I'm always ready for something else to take a new place because it just means more good movies.
New great content. Right, exactly. And, oh man. Other new great content.
Speaking of new movies, Nintendo had their Nintendo Direct the other day and announced the Super Mario Brothers movie.
I've never seen a cast announcement for an animated movie go so viral so fast. It's other than maybe, I mean, even Sonic didn't, like, nothing with the cast.
No, it was, Jim Carrey.
Right.
Jim Carrey went bounds and leaps. I mean,
but that was one
Onward,
person.
Which, funnily enough, is another Chris Pratt movie.
Right,
that was a pretty big because, and then
that was just good timing though.
Spies in Disguise 2 was another one that the casting list was talked about a lot. But yeah, this Super Mario Brothers movie.
Chris Pratt.
I'm surprised. Mario. Yeah, Chris Pratt was a weird casting.
Anna Taylor-Joy is great.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And is it Joy Taylor or Taylor-Joy? I always forget.
I think it's Taylor-Joy.
But yeah, Anya's a perfect cast for that. Even if it was a live action movie and not animated, aesthetically she looks how I picture Princess Peach.
That's fair.
The facial structure is just all right.
Yeah, I'll never move on from her being cast as Magic because I really want to see her reprise that role in the MCU.
I totally got you.
She's the perfect. I could go on for weeks about that,
but yeah. Other than that, we have Donkey Kong.
Seth Rogen.
No, I think Seth Rogen. He's such a great comedian. He's come out with some really weird stuff in the past few years.
Right.
But I think while it's a weird
recognized, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, he recognizes when his movies flop,
which
is great. I love him as a film If someone in the film industry, I love him.
He's super funny, and I'm excited to see how his portrayal of Donkey Kong turns out. Same with Jack Black as Bowser.
That one I'm very okay with.
I think that was a great choice. While it's a weird one,
it's probably one of the only ones I really like. I won't lie.
And I'm hoping, even though Bowser is often portrayed as very comical, I'm hoping we get a little bit more of a serious take with it.
That'd be fun.
I especially because we don't see Jack Black playing very many serious roles.
Yeah. And I think this would be a great surprise for
and especially him playing a villain.
Yeah. Who kidnaps
a princess.
Anya. Oh yeah, like Peach. I'm excited to see how they take it because it's been such a cut and dry repeated story over time. Keegan-Michael
Key as Toad. Now that one caught me way off guard. I don't know how they're going to do this. But I do know after watching Key and Peele that he has amazing control of his voice.
Yeah, he's phenomenal. He's a great actor.
And he's a great comedian.
Yeah.
And that's going to serve really well for Toad.
Yeah. It's just interesting because with all of these castings, they really didn't go for the voice profiles for a voice actor movie.
Now, what makes it very strange, though, is that Charles Martinet, the voice of Mario since, like, some educational game on the PC, then later on Mario 64 and all that stuff. He's been around for years. Charles Martinet is still going to be in this movie just as a cameo.
As various cameos.
Yeah.
Which is
weird that he's just not outright Mario.
Right.
That's very strange to me.
I think they're definitely trying to make their own
I guess
franchise, but it's so odd for such a legacy name.
Now, I'm surprised that that Nintendo's journey back into like the idea of making video game movies is another Mario movie, with the first one being a total flop. Don't get me wrong. I love that movie.
It's so fun.
It is so much fun to watch because even though it's super gritty, the guy who did the art design and set design was the same guy who did it on Blade Runner.
Yeah. Yeah.
So like we see a lot of parallels with that, and I think it's perfect. I think that giving the movie its own spin instead of just trying to copy the game's aesthetics was a smart choice.
Agreed. And I'm really excited to see how they take it this
I hope that they reference that movie at least a little bit. Maybe even just
that would be amazing.
Them like pulling out, like going through the closet, and then there's like the Mario Bros movie outfits. They look at it.
These are not worth anything.
Puts it back and pulls on the classic overalls.
I like
now,
it.
I'm curious if they're going to go for traditional style designs for the characters, or if they're going to do something new with Mario and Luigi's design.
Yeah, it's really crazy to think about. I mean, all we have is the cube.
That's all we've seen so far.
Yeah,
and it's very strange.
Which could also not be in the final movie. So
right.
It's
yeah.
There's a lot of potential.
I probably won't be out. Well, the question block will be in the movie, probably.
Right. Just maybe not even that design.
The reason I think they're doing this movie now is that they're opening the Mario, like Super Mario Bros. Like theme park in Japan.
Oh,
and then I think they're doing one in the U.S. as well, and I think that's part of why they're doing a movie now.
Do you think they're going to try and keep up this whole, like, do you think they're going to make a franchise out of this movie? Like, try and do, like, a Smash Bros. Universe or some shit? The Nintendo CU.
I feel like what's going to happen is just, we're going to get a few sequels of Mario movies. We might have them follow the first 3 games or something like that. Or, I don't know what they'd really do with these movies. I'm just hoping it's not going to be an Angry Birds situation.
That's exactly what I
That's what I'm worried about.
That's exactly what I was worried about. Other uplifting Nintendo news, though.
Yes, so we got the Nintendo Direct, as I said earlier, with not just that, but we're getting the Castlevania Advanced Collection, which is a collection of the 3 Game Boy Advance titles, which haven't been re-released to my knowledge since they were released on the Game Boy Advanced with Dracula X.
Right, and we got, like...
for the Super Nintendo.
Obviously, we got ways to play it.
Right, we can emulate it or buy the cartridge, but this is an official way to play these games legally for the first time in years, and having it be accessible.
Right.
I don't care how much like stuff like this costs or how companies do it, as long as they do it. I like when like Nintendo or Sony brings back an IP that they haven't touched for a long time, or games that haven't seen the light of day for a long time, and reviving those and pulling them back into the spotlight, re-releasing them for future generations to enjoy.
Another Star Wars one that has been very relevant lately out of nowhere.
Yes. So we got the announcement of the remake of Knights of the Old Republic. But the Switch, amazing. I think next month, or in November maybe, is getting a port of the very original Knights of the Old Republic. So having that portably is going to be an awesome experience.
Yeah, I mean, we got that with Republic Commandos was pretty awesome.
Yeah, we got the remake of that came to the Switch. Right. Limited Run Games did an awesome limited release of it physically, and I wanted it, but I couldn't afford it.
Yeah, and I didn't have a Switch.
I spent all my money on the reproduction Night Trap for the Sega CD, and I don't even own the Sega CD.
Great financial investment. I mean, to be fair, I bought Overwatch 2 months before I got a PlayStation, and although I played that game religiously for a while.
I did the same. I pre-ordered Spider-Man Miles Morales, and I didn't get my PS5 until
that's a much
December, I think. I got my console in December or February.
Right. And I still haven't got it. And I haven't played Miles Morales. And
anytime you're welcome to, you know. Anyways, on top of that, we got a very big announcement for me. I love the Kirby games.
Yes.
I don't think there's ever been a necessarily bad Kirby game, but everything we've gotten has been 2D platformers, with the exception of racing games and a golf game and just some really random stuff. So to have now Nintendo releasing a fully 3D Kirby game, it's like Kirby and the Forgotten Lands, I think is what it's called. It looks like a dystopian universe with Kirby running around these torn down buildings with moss and vines growing out of them, and they're like human civilization buildings.
Very interesting.
And this is a new land for Kirby to explore, so this makes me think, has this whole time Kirby been living in a post-apocalyptic world?
That's nuts.
That's how Kirby had evolved to be this weird single-celled organism that can just ingest and ingest.
I just like him because he's round.
I mean, that's very true. Alex Hirsch had an amazing tweet about Kirby today, or was it the other day? I don't know. Outside of that, there wasn't a whole lot in that Nintendo Direct that hyped me up. There was the announcement of Bayonetta 3. Never got into the series, but I know people are hyped for that.
Yeah, Castlevania is huge.
Castlevania is a really big one
Knights
for me.
of KOTOR is huge.
We also got more footage of Metroid Dread, which is the much anticipated game since the GameCube.
Metroid is one of the only Nintendo properties I was thoroughly hooked on.
You've played Prime, right?
Yes.
So within the Prime trilogy, we get a little thing saying Project Dread is coming soon or whatever. I don't remember the exact wording. And finally now we're seeing more of this game.
Right.
I'm really tempted to pre-order it because, and I don't pre-order games very often, but I'm really tempted to pre-order it because this is going back to Metroid's roots, being that Metroid style gameplay instead of being like a 3D shooter or something else entirely, the Blast Ball Federation Force bullshit.
We don't need to talk about it. One of the only Metroid games I got to play in recent years, unfortunately. Yeah, gonna have to break that game off the shelf and dust it off pretty soon.
And the last thing, which is very special for me being a retro gamer. As you can see, I collect some retro games, here being some of them.
Right.
They're bringing N64 and Sega Genesis games to Nintendo Online. It's a new membership that will be a little more expensive. They haven't announced the release or the price for it yet. But the fact that they're bringing N64 games to Switch Online.
Right.
That's awesome. And Genesis too. Yeah. That Sega's on board with supporting this.
That's huge for me.
It's strange that they're not putting Sonic 1 on there right away. Just Sonic 2. But they're doing other games like Rystar and Echo the Dolphin, Castlevania Bloodlines, Contra Hardcore, some insane titles.
If I can get Michael Jackson's Moonwalker.
I don't think it's on there yet because licensed games are super hard.
It's Michael Jackson. I definitely get it. But
right.
Yeah.
And we have that physically here if we want to play that next time.
Yeah.
But these are a lot of the games coming to the Genesis and the N64 for Nintendo Switch Online. They're games that are kind of hard to come by.
Yeah. And
they're not easy to get a hold of. And the fact that Nintendo's not just releasing them for $60 retail like they did with the 3D All-Stars collection for Mario, and Mario 64 was part of that, and that's coming to Nintendo Switch Online. So they're giving one of those games for free to people who subscribe to it, which if you have a Switch and you don't have the online membership, it doesn't make sense.
Right.
Like the year option's $20, and you get a huge NES and SNES library as it is.
Yeah, and with Xbox, you'll get one free game a month, and you pay like $120
or PlayStation Plus, same kind of deal there.
Exactly.
I don't get. Honestly, though, I choose one or the other. I'll switch between what one I'm using at the time, just depending on what console. It's just expensive at the end of the day.
Yeah, no, that would... Yeah. The bill hikes up for how limited the exclusivity is between them. But Nintendo is its own pocket, which is great.
And the final thing I wanted to bring up with Nintendo is they finally added, after 4 years, Bluetooth audio output support for the Switch.
Yep.
Except it is so jank, and there are so many corners they cut for it. You can only use up to 2 wireless controllers at a time. You cannot do local wireless play, and it can't be done on the Switch Lite.
What's your audio in your ears worth to you?
So, at that point, you either have to use it wired, just use wired audio, and then you can use more controllers. Or you just suck it up and use a lot of wired controllers.
Yeah, Nintendo makes a lot of odd decisions.
But I don't get it.
At the end of the day, they have every right to. They control their own market. So.
And they make some of the best games of all time. I know that they do a lot weird, and sometimes they don't make the best decisions. But it's Nintendo. They've created some of the best games and most iconic household names in gaming of all time. No. And they did normalize gaming to the public.
Yeah.
With the NES after the video game crash.
Right. Yeah, I was never really big into Nintendo, but
You were a Genesis dude.
I was a Genesis guy, and when the console war ended, I didn't have money to care.
I had my Genesis before my SNES and NES, but the Wii was like my console growing up. I played on the GameCube, but I never owned one. I had a PS2 and I loved that, but I didn't have very many games for it at the time. The Wii is where my love for video games really grew and really started.
Nice. Yeah. And either way, just mad respect for what they've paved.
Oh my god,
the gaming industry.
The company's been around since the 1800s too.
Right.
Starting out as a playing card company.
Yeah, they know what they're doing.
And then they did taxis and toys and sex hotels and all sorts of stuff.
Yeah, well, who doesn't?
Yeah, exactly. Multiple ventures.
Amazing. That is a marvelous place to wrap up this episode.
Yeah, that's probably the best place I can think of too.
Yeah, I mean, what else would we talk about other than Nintendo sex hotels or how we're rebranding to a Sebulba themed show?
All right. Yeah, I think that's a good place to wrap up.
Wonderful.
I'm gonna see how many of these cartridges I can shove up my butt.
Sweet.
All right, pod racing. We're going in.
Now this is pod racing. Thanks for joining us again and talking about the prequel era this time on the Hero Couch.
It was a much needed conversation that we needed to do, and I hope you guys enjoyed.
So, feel free to join us next time on
The Hero Couch. Thanks for watching. Hey everyone, thanks for watching. If you like that episode, consider subscribing and liking the video, as well as checking us over on Patreon, where we're now uploading the podcast weekly for audio listeners only. We're moving it to Patreon from SoundCloud because right now SoundCloud's a little bit expensive. We didn't realize that you can only upload 300 minutes of audio. It will be completely free over on Patreon, so no worries, you don't have to be a patron for us. But we are now offering tiers with behind-the-scenes content, updates, as well as Q&As occasionally, and much more. So if you want to go check that out, we have multiple tiers from $3 to $15, depending on how much you want to support us. But even just watching our videos is supporting us, and we're really grateful for you guys checking them out. And we really hope you enjoy this episode and the many more to come. Thanks for watching. Take care.